So our mission here is to figure out the story behind this album. I mean, all our sources are calling it this major full circle moment, a real homecoming. We need to look at the ideas, the collaborators, and, well, why this return to his roots is hitting so hard.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The core idea, really, is him deliberately taking back that original name, Lil Herb. And by doing that, he's signaling, very intentionally, I'm going back to the hunger, the urgency, the perspective that, defined his earliest work. It's not just looking back fondly, though. It feels like it provides real artistic closure to that whole era that introduced him. But at the same time, it's asserting his influence now and cementing his place, his staying power.
Right, he's connecting the dots, showing where he came from to validate where he is now. That totally makes sense. But for it to be a homecoming, you got to remember, like you said, he wasn't starting from scratch here. He had some serious mainstream momentum leading into this, didn't he? That feels important for context.
Oh, absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
The album definitely builds on the huge success he had right before it, particularly with Went Legit. I mean, that track was a massive deal for him, RIAA Gold certified. And for the listener, maybe even more telling, Went Legit was his first ever top 10 on a Billboard radio chart. It actually hit #1 on urban radio.
Wow, #1.
Yeah. And having that kind of success, that crossover appeal, it gives an artist like Herbo the creative breathing room to turn around and make something deeply personal like Lil Herb, maybe something less driven purely by chart pressure.
Okay, so the timing links up. Then there's how he made it. The sources keep calling Lil Herb a time capsule, very immersive, lived in. And to get that feel, he didn't just book time in some fancy LA studio. Where did he actually record it to get that sound?
Yeah.
He literally went back home to Chicago. Most of this album was recorded in the exact same studios where his whole story started taking shape years ago.
Okay, so that's a statement in itself.
It's strategic, definitely. It grounds the whole project, makes sure it feels authentic to that defining early drill sound he's revisiting. And if you listen closely, you can hear it. It's not just sentimental. Sonically, while the production is obviously polished and modern, recording back there helps him tap into those specific vibes, the heavy 808s, that raw energy. But now it's filtered through the skill of someone who's been doing this at a high level for years.
And it wasn't just the place, right? He brought back the original team, too, the producers who helped build that sound with him. Seems like a conscious move to keep that Chicago energy pure.
Exactly. It was like a reunion. You've got the hometown guys, Chase Davis, Oz on the track, Seasick people who were really key in shaping that scene early on. And they're working right alongside his, longtime collaborators, the bigger names like Don Cannon, Southside, SMAT certified. That's where the magic happens, I think. They're blending that raw early sound that defined him with the high-level production quality that his current status demands. It's a really smart way to connect Lil Herb, the raw talent, with G Herbo, the established artist.
I wonder, though, when you bring back all those familiar names and focus so much on the past, is there a risk? Does it end up sounding, stuck? Or is that duality you mentioned really the whole point?
That duality is the point.
Yeah.
Our sources really emphasize this. The album is unflinching, but it's also really reflective, often at the same time. It apparently takes him into some of his most personal territory yet. He's balancing these raw survival stories with some, deep and maybe difficult self-reflection. It feels like he's talking to both sides of his audience, the day ones who knew Lil Herb and the newer fans who know G Herbo from the radio.
And you see that balance perfectly in the lead single, Reason, right, produced by Don Cannon. That one feels like Herbo really stepping into his power, lyrically speaking. There's a shift there.
Definitely, from just surviving to thriving and enabling others.
Yeah, and that line everyone picked up on, everybody got a bag and I'm the reason in my section. That's not just bragging about money, is it?
No, not at all. That line really captures the confidence he has now. It shows he's used his success to create opportunities, maybe even ownership for people around him, his community. It shifts the story from just I made it out to I'm building something here. Survivor to maybe an economic force.
Okay, so that sets the stage for his current standing. But you mentioned the emotional depth. What tracks really carry that weight?
Right. Beyond the confidence, the album gets its real heart from these emotional anchor points where he kind of strips back the bravado. The absolute core, according to the sources, is Fallen Soldiers. That track is, well, it's a direct, really raw tribute to the friends, the brothers he's lost. Reading about it, you get the sense this was something heavy he needed to articulate. Carrying their memory forward, sharing the success they didn't get to see. It's powerful stuff, and it gives the whole album this undercurrent of gravity.
Yeah, that provides the weight. And then you get something like Thank Me, featuring Anderson .Paak, who of course was also a 2016 XXL freshman with Herbo.
Yeah.
And just for listeners, the XXL freshman list, that's like the annual forecast of who's next up in hip-hop, a huge deal early in their careers.
Exactly. So the collaboration itself speaks volumes about their parallel journeys since then. And Pac brings this like incredibly soulful, almost wise, weathered warmth to the track. It's the perfect contrast, really. It balances Herbo's rawness as he looks inward, acknowledging the grind, the scars, the personal growth it took to get here. You hear both of them reflecting on their respective climbs.
And we also have that feature from Jeremiah, another Chicago connection on Whatever You Want. How does that fit in?
Yeah, the sources point to that one as adding another layer.
Yeah.
Described as confident, soulful. It seems like it's brought in to add maybe emotional dimension, warmth, making sure that amidst the heavy stuff, there's also this sense of like grounded connection, melodic depth.
Okay, speaking of connections and foundational moments, we absolutely have to talk about what feels like the centerpiece of the whole record, Emergency. That's a big swing, reimagining Wyclef Jean's classic 911.
Huge swing. And it's way more than just a sample, right? It's like a dialogue across generations. And the significance, Wyclef Jean himself, as the source puts it, stepped back into the frame. He didn't just groove it, he laid down a rare full-feature verse. When an icon like Wyclef gives that kind of endorsement, that active participation, it elevates the track instantly. It turns it into the centerpiece, connecting two different eras of artists talking about crisis and survival.
And the video for Emergency, directed by LVTRKevin, sounds like it matches that weight. Not your typical music video, more cinematic.
Definitely high concept. The descriptions mention it unfolding against this really stark, black, shadow-filled backdrop. And that visual choice seems deliberate. It mirrors the tension, the grief, the survival instinct that's so tied to the stories coming out of Chicago, the Windy City. It's meant to enhance the seriousness, the urgency of the song.
So what's the message they're trying to get across with that stark style? Is it just danger or something more specific?
I think it's a pretty sobering commentary on what it's like to grow up too fast in environments where support is lacking. The visuals and the lyrics work together to point towards that harsh reality where, as one source puts it, kids might receive guns before guidance and are forced to make adult decisions without direction. By keeping the visuals so simple, so stripped down, it forces you, the listener, the viewer, to really focus on the words, on the weight behind them, on the sheer necessity that forged that original Lil Herb persona. The story comes first.
That focus on experience, on home. It all seemed to build up to this massive event right before the album dropped. Kind of framed the whole release as this huge Chicago moment, didn't it?
It really did. He wrote some serious momentum into the album launch, especially off his first annual birthday bash, Swerve and Friends, celebrating his 30th. And this wasn't just some party.
No, the scale of it was huge. Speaks volumes about where he stands in the city now. What was the venue again?
He sold out Chicago's Wintrust Arena.
Wintrust Arena, okay.
Selling that out, that's not just good ticket sales. That's a statement. It signifies that G Herbo has really transitioned from, respected local artist to a genuine cultural figure in Chicago. It's like the ultimate hometown validation.
And the lineup for that show just hammered the point home,
Yeah.
showing his reach across the whole industry. I felt like more than a concert, like a statement of unity.
Well, the lineup was insane. A total who's who of modern hip-hop.
Yeah.
You had 21 Savage, Meek Mill, Polo G, a Boogie Wit Da Hoodie, Nardo Wick, Skilla Baby, 42 Doug, Queen Key. Just a powerhouse list.
Oh.
And the event itself, put on by 150 Dream Team and BMN Entertainment with 107.5 WGCI, it really functioned as this landmark moment, bringing together music, culture, community, all on one of Chicago's biggest stages.
Yeah.
It perfectly framed the Lil Herb album not just as his story, but as a collective win.
Right. So when we pull all these threads together, the deliberate return to the name, the Chicago sound focus, those heavy emotional tracks, and then capping it off with the sold-out Wintrust show, what's the big takeaway here? What did this album achieve?
I think it undeniably succeeded in its goal.
Yeah.
It masterfully bridges that foundational, hungry Lil Herb era with the successful, more sophisticated G Herbo of today. It's a really deep personal dive into his growth, his losses, using the truth of his past to validate the power he holds now. It feels like he needed to prove he hadn't lost that original urgency, and he did it while showcasing just how far he's come.
Yeah, absolutely. A powerful statement for his career. Okay, so here's something final for you, the listener, to think about. Given how successful this album was and that huge sold-out arena show, is bringing back the Lil Herb name just about artistic authenticity and revisiting roots? Or is it also maybe a really smart strategic move? What's the ultimate significance when an artist decides to close an old chapter by reclaiming that earlier, maybe hungrier persona? What does that really signal about their connection to where they started, especially long-term?
That's a great question to ponder. That conscious decision to kind of formally acknowledge and release under the younger self, it implies a real control over his own story, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a deep commitment to where it all began.
It really does. Thanks for diving deep with us today.